Hello, everybody. As you can see, I'm not locked down in the basement anymore. I get to be upstairs and getting things put together back up here, so that's nice. And the second miracle is, oops. Let me share my screen in Canvas. And somebody asked me about this last week. I have actually posted a video doing those two problems. So there we go. It's finally done. Now, they are a little bit confusing to comprehend, but very easy to do. So the method is very easy to do and works well. Takes quite a bit of pondering to understand why that works. But we don't always need to know why, do we? So that's the second bit of good news. And I'm not in the basement anymore. That's good news for me. It doesn't matter much to you, probably. We are through discounts or through markup, the content anyway. Whether you took it, the test yet or not, is up to you. Just don't wait till the very end of the semester to take all your tests. I wouldn't wait too after we finish and after we go through the practice quiz. I wouldn't wait too long before I took the test because it's still fresh. You still have your notes there and how you worked all those problems from the practice test, and you can follow it and get it done and get it behind you. So don't wait too awful long. Up at the next module is simple interest. And it is pretty simple. So this is refreshing. We'll work through some problems about simple interest. Simple interest is not used a lot anymore because it used to be compound interest could be very tedious to calculate because you didn't have calculators even, and definitely not computers. But now, so much access to technology, rarely do you have to fall back on simple interest. But sometimes people do, especially in personal arrangements. They don't compound interest or anything. They just charge a certain amount of interest. So the simple interest problems are usually easier. And compound interest isn't bad either, but I think you'll like the simple interest problems because they do pretty easy to understand. So we'll try to get the first 8 or 9 of the practice problems done today, and that'll be our goal. And just a couple notes. One about the due dates. And I've said it before, but I'd just like to repeat myself when it comes to this, is that these due dates were set for the people who are joining us midterm. So you can see that they do seem kind of late. So, but none of them are hard due dates. In other words, if you take the simple interest test after the due date of November 13th, it will not punish you for being late. There's no grade penalty for being late. So I just put in due dates because people like it. They like to use them to keep up with their stuff. And I know when I put a due date in it, I think it shows up on your to-do list in Canvas. And I know my kids use the to-do list. So I know that's important to some people. So I get it. So I put them in, but they're not written in stone, and I'm not just waiting to deduct points from your test if you're late on it. So So don't be, if you're going to be a little past due dates or whatever, don't stress it. And just make sure you get everything done by the end. And the second thing is contacting me. I get a lot of contact from students, which I like. And I mentioned this before too, but I like it via text. And I think we're to this point where we can expect everybody to be able to text. And this is it's very easy for me to manage all my student questions on my phone via text this way. Very easy to manage that. So I have to almost insist on that. That's my form of communication. And if you're working on a test or on a practice test, and you have a question about a certain question, you can just take a picture of your screen showing the question, and then ask your question about that question and send it to me. And then I bet we can come to a conclusion on that pretty quickly and get your answer as quickly as possible. And like I said, I can always see your answer, your question in the queue, and everything nice and organized chronologically on my phone. So I don't sit here with a laptop open all the time. I know I could check email on my computer, but email's full of 80% garbage. So to find your question, I have to sift through textbook questions from salesmen and everything else. And some people at the college send out email about everything, multiple ones a day, even stuff we don't need to know about. Anyway, it's very cluttered, and email gets easily lost. So really have to insist that you use text. You'll like it. It's not bad. All right, so simple interest. Let's look at some simple interest. That's my mobile number. And I always say that I'm really good at being timely on answering and then having conversations back and forth about questions. And it's much more like real-time conversations. So anyway, we want to look at the practice quiz. So here it is. All right, now the way we calculate simple interest is the interest, I, is equal to the principal times the rate times time. So that's the abbreviation. Let me write it out here for you. Interest equals principal times your interest rate times how long you borrow it for, or how long you lend it, depending on which end you're on. We just call it time. Because obviously, if you borrow money, there will be a difference if you borrow money for 1 year or if you borrow it for 2 years. So that matters. Okay, so let's talk about what some of those things mean. The principal is the amount borrowed or the amount lent. If I'm go out and buy a car and it's $20,000, which good luck doing that anymore, right? It's $20,000 vehicle, and I'm borrowing that full amount, then the principal is $20,000. The rate is the interest rate. You see those a lot. They're going up now. It's just the way the economy goes. When you have inflation, then the government starts to raise interest rates. And the reason they raise interest rates is they need people to spend less money. Because the faster we spend money, the more chance there is for more inflation. Because if you're selling a car, if you're selling your 20,000 or your car or whatever it's worth, and there is only one person interested in it, then the cost will be one thing. But if there's 10 people competing for your car, then the cost goes up. Same car, but it's going to cost more because 10 people have access to that amount of money. So there's 10 people, they often call it in economics, 10 people bidding on that. And that pushes the price up. Good for the seller, not great for the buyer, but it causes inflation because it's the same car, but instead of costing $20,000, it ends up costing $25,000. So that's made your asset, your money worth less because $25,000 bought the same car that $20,000 could have. So that's what happened. So inflation was kind of caused by putting too much money into the economy, which a lot of that happened over the pandemic. Gave people a lot of extra cash. We spend it, which spending it money is important for the economy, but we're all competing over the same goods. So the price of the goods go up. And that causes inflation. So prices go up, and that's what inflation is. So anyway, so the government's raised rates because that slows us down, slows down our spending. We can't borrow as easily as we used to. It's more expensive to finance, so we don't buy. We think, I'm not buying a car if I have to pay this kind of interest rate. So they raise the interest rate, that slows us down. There's fewer people competing for the same goods, and that's supposed to help slow inflation and hopefully bring it down to an acceptable level. So that's what they're doing now. But the unfortunate side effect, I know this is not economics class, but it is business math class. The unfortunate side effect of that is it can slow economic activity, because if we're not buying stuff, then less stuff, they need to make less stuff. And the people who are making that stuff start to lose their jobs because now they don't need to make as much. And then that puts us into different degrees of recession. So it's kind of that thing. You got to nip this in the bud at the beginning by not dumping a bunch of money into the economy. But politically, it's a very popular thing to dump a bunch of money in the economy. So that's what they do. So anyway, here we are, and they're trying to slow it down. And unfortunately, it might end up in a recession and high unemployment. But anyway, this is just simple interest, didn't I say? So the interest rate is the percent interest you're going to pay, and the time is the period. So if I buy a car and I borrow $20,000 at 10% for 2 years, 10% over 2 years, then the time is 2. So that's all there is to that. So let's look at it at this first question. Find the amount of simple interest on a loan of $3,500 at 9.5% for 14 years. So it looks to me like we would say, okay, our interest is going to be the principal, $3,500, the rate. Now, it's written as 9.5%, but we know that that's the same as 9.5%. And it's much more functional for calculators to put it in decimal form. And we know when you move that decimal place over, so we get 2 spots. So we get 0.095 for our rate. And I'm going to use, because these are decimals like that, I'm going to use these parentheses to denote multiplication here. And then it's 14 years. Has somebody calculated that?
Hello. Yes, I have that. I have the answer of 4,655.
There we go. $4,655. So over the 14-year period that you had this money, it would cost you $4,655 of interest. All right, the next question. Chief business officer of a construction equipment company arranges a loan of $9,300 at 12 1/8%. And that is for 37.5 months. Now be careful, because this is not in terms of years. So we need to do a little work here. Matter of fact, I'm going to write this down and flip over to my calculator so I can show you how I would enter this. Because you're not paying 12 1/8% every month. You're paying that over the course of a year. And 37.5 months. Okay. I think it's worth seeing how we put it in a calculator. That and the 12 1/8%, I wanted to put that in a calculator as well, just to show you how we can take care of those fractions pretty quickly. I use this Desmos Calculator. It's wonderful. You can use it on your computer. You can use it as an app on your phone. Now, the first question I have is, how do I write 12 1/8% as a decimal? Well, I need to know how to write 1/8 as a decimal. That's the tricky part. So all you have to do is divide 1 by 8. And that shows you the decimal for 12, or for 1/8, it's 0.125. So our interest rate is 12.125. So now we have our interest rate, and then we'll switch that to a decimal. But I wanted to get rid of that fraction first, and it's not obvious, the decimal representation of an eighth. But now I know my interest rate is 12.125. And then 37.5 months. I need to know, how many years is that? I do that by dividing 37.5 months by 12, because there's 12 months in the year. And I get 3.125 years. So 3.125 years is the same as 37.5 months. So I can now do $9,300 times my interest rate. I have to move my decimal 2 spots, so I get 0.12125. That's my rate, times my time. What was that? 3.125? 3.125. Thanks. Oh yeah, that's right. I get, did anybody check me on that? 3523.82. Always makes me feel good for somebody to, or if you got something different, I may need to check my work.
No, I have the same number.
Hey, great. Thank you. All right. 3523.82. So we had to do a couple little conversions there first, but pretty easy on a calculator. And 3523.82, 3523. Well, another little fun fact here. This one says 83. You'll find in business math classes, sometimes these formulas go out to so many decimal places that your answer could possibly differ by a penny. That doesn't mean you're wrong. That just means, and a lot of these processes in business math used to be done with actual paper tables. They would look things up on the table. So there was rounding involved. And when you start rounding, you lose a little bit of accuracy, but just a penny or something, no big deal. So don't worry about it. Anyway, or either that, or I just didn't round correctly. Didn't even look. 3520.83. Okay, that was me. All right, so anyway, I didn't round correctly, so lesson for me today. But you will in the later sections, like in compound interest, sometimes will be a penny different, even when you do round correctly, because they rounded at different points in the problem. But it won't be a significant difference, and you should still be able to identify the answer pretty easily. All right, similar problem. The amount of a service station receives on a loan is $8,500 at 10.5% for 7 months. And I actually think I will use this calculator on the screen because it's, I think, a whole lot easier for you to see how the problem is set up. Well, the principal is easy to identify. It was $8,500. Now, it said interest rate 10.5% or 10.5%. How would I type that in the calculator?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I'm just asking how you enter this in the calculator. So how do you enter the rate in the calculator?
Is it 10.5?
Right, but you have to convert it to a decimal. So convert it to a decimal, what's that going to look like in a calculator? Now, some of your calculators have percent buttons, but I'm asking to convert it to and that's fine if that works for you. But what is 10.5% or 10.5% converted to a decimal?
it's 0.105.
There you go. 0.105. And like I said, some of you have calculators that have percent buttons and you're very comfortable with it. But what that calculator is doing when you put that percent button is moving the decimal for you. So it's fine that you're comfortable with it and that's what you do. But I'm not sure that this one has a percent button on it. So I have to do that work myself. So as a decimal, it looks like 0.105 because we've moved the decimal place 2 spots to the left. Now, how do it says I'm borrowing it for 7 months. So now the nice thing about this calculator is you can enter your numbers as a fraction. You don't even have to convert the fractions to decimals or anything like that, or you can just enter it right as a fraction. And that comes in handy in this module. So if I was doing it for 7 months, what would I enter for my time?
Would that be 1 divided by 7? Not sure.
Yeah, well, you want to know the interest rate is based on a year. So you need to know what part of a year is 7 months.
Is it going to be 7 divided by 12?
There you go. It's the number of months. There's 7 months that we're given divided by, very good, divided by 12. Because when we talk about 7 months, that's 7/12 of a year. And I didn't know what kind of decimal 7/12 was going to give me. So that's why it's nice to be able to enter it just as a fraction. So if you're converting from months, then you're dividing by 12. If you're converting from weeks, then you're dividing by 52. Because the interest rates are yearly interest rates, you know. So there may even be some days, I don't know. I doubt it though. So anyway, I get 520.63. There she is, 520.63. All right, let's see, this is $9,500 principal, interest rate 8.75%, 9.5 months or 9.5 months. Find the amount of simple interest. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on this, and then I'm going to do it on the calculator together with you. All right, let's see what we get here. Does anybody want to share their answer before we put it in the calculator?
I'm definitely running into a problem because I can't seem to find the answer, my answer matching up here. So I like to see how someone does
Okay.
this.
Well, let's see. Well, you're given 9.5 months. So figuring out what part of a year it is a little messy. But fortunately with this calculator, I can put 9.5 in a fraction, so I don't even have to do a lot of work there. So $9,500, 8.75% interest, 9.5 months. All right, let's see what happens here. Okay, $9,500 principal. My interest rate would be, how did you enter your interest rate?
I have 0.0875.
Yeah, that sounds good. 0.0875. Now it's the time that's the tricky one on this. It's 9.5 months, and we know we want to divide that by 12. Well, fortunately, in this calculator, I can be lazy, say, well, 9.5, that's 9.5, and divide it by 12. So I can just do that. Or you could do that on the side and enter that number in. But just to see what it would look like, you could say 9.5 months divided by 12 is 0.79166666 years. So a nice messy number. So I like to just be able to enter it as a fraction. Anyway, I get $6.58.07. And there, did you see where you slipped up?
Yes, I think it was definitely the month.
Yeah,
I missed
it's
that
messy.
one.
Yeah, they give you 9.5 months and convert that to years. And you don't know off the top of your head that that's 0.7916 years. So, but like I said, if you use this calculator, you don't have to overthink it too much. You can just stick it in there, 9.5 over 12, whatever that is, and it'll take care of the dirty work for us. Oh, here's a day's one. Karen's Catering borrows $4,500 at 8.5% interest for 260 days. If the bank uses the exact interest method, how much interest will the bank collect? Well, let me tell you, this is the stuff that makes you sound really old. A lot of things banking used to do, and maybe some of it carries over, is because to make the calculations easier. Because when you're doing it by hand, these calculations could be ridiculously cumbersome. So an exact interest method assumes 365 days per year. Now, there's another one. It'll come up. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but they also have a method where they assumed 360 days a year. You thought, well, why in the world would they do that? Well, for ease of calculation, because 360 days a year they could assume 30 days a month, and it made everything nice, even numbers. Nowadays, I doubt any of that happens. But I can't remember the name of it, but I'm sure we'll get a question like that. But anyway, exact interest is 365 days per year. So $4,500. Writing these numbers down. 8.5% interest. $260 days. exact interest. All right. So here we go. $4,500. It's my principal. 8.5% interest. On this calculator, I enter that as a decimal, 0.085. Now, I'm in days, 260 days, but we need to know what part of a year that is. So we take those 260 days and we divide it by 365, like that. And I get 272.47. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That makes me feel confident. Let's see if that's one of the answers. Was it 272.47?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I had. Yeah, 272.47. There we go. Oh, here it is. Ordinary interest method. That's what they call it. Ordinary interest, 360 days per year. So let me write that down here. So these exact and ordinary methods really only apply when the time is days and you're converting to years. Exact interest, $365 days per year. And ordinary interest, and that's 360 days per year. That's the difference. So we're going for $5,000, 11.5% interest. For 284 days, 284 days. Our principal, 5,000. That's the easy part, isn't it? The interest rate, written as a decimal, 0.115. That's 11.5%. And then our time is those 284 days. And because we're using this old-fashioned ordinary method, we divide it by 360. Some banks might still do this for certain types of loans. I don't know enough about banking to know. But I get 453.61. Did anybody else get that or something different?
Hold on, I ain't calculating.
Okay, good. Thank you for.
Yeah, I got 453.6.
Hey, all right. Hopefully that's one of the answers because that's two of us got it. Let's see. 453.61. There it goes. Nice.
Mhm.
All right, let's see if we can do a couple more. That'll get us halfway through. Hold on one second. Just want to make sure I have a definition right. Pretty sure I know this, but. Okay. I just want to make sure, but that's what I thought when we say maturity value of the loan, that's the total you pay at the end of the loan. We've been calculating the interest, but when we say the maturity value, that's all the interest plus the principal too. So the total amount you pay at the maturity of the loan. So we could say maturity value is the principal plus the interest. Plus the interest. So we'll calculate the interest like we've been doing, and then we'll just add the principal back on, and that'll tell us the total we spent for that loan. All right, the numbers, important numbers here, $9,500 principal, 9.5% interest, 4 months. So my principal, $9,500 times my interest rate of 9.5%, which I put in as 0.095. 4 months. So I'm going to put that in as a fraction. And if I have months, oops, not a fraction there, but times I have months, so I have to divide by 12. So 4 divided by 12, that's my 4 months. That gives me the interest. I need to know the total maturity value. So it is $9,500, the amount I initially borrowed, plus the interest I paid, 300, and I'll go out a few decimal places. Well, I only have to go out two, I guess, and 83 cents. So the total maturity value of this loan is $9,883. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if,
Yes.
good. Let's see what's wrong one. See if they, hey, there we go. Always reassuring to see the answer. Hey, this question should have been before the last one, because here it tells you the formula. Maturity value equals principal plus interest. $2,500, 10.5%, 60 months. Let me give you 5 minutes to work on this on yourself, and then I'll come back and do it, and we'll see how we did. Excuse me. All right, let's see how it goes. Let me clear some of this stuff. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm going to calculate my interest first. So I use my principal, $2,500 times 10.5%, written as a decimal, 0.105, times 60 months. I'm giving my time in months, so I know I'm going to divide that by 12. So 60 divided by 12, it's my time. So I get for my interest $1,312.50. Now, to do my maturity value, I have to take my principal and add that interest to it. And that's what I got. Is that okay with you all?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you. Let's see. Yeah, notice one of the answers is the interest. They try to trick you like that. It's not very nice. We had 38,1250. 38,1250. There you go. Yeah, they put these, they call them distractors in there. They put in answers like this because that's the interest we came up with. And if you don't pay attention, you just do the interest and you say, oh, there's the answer. That must be right. And so you check it. So just be careful on that. All right. Well, that's about halfway through. So that's a good day's work. And I appreciate everybody coming today. Text me if you need. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate you participating. There's really not that many people Zooming this class. So I didn't know how many would actually show up. So I appreciate I get ones that show up and participate with me. It makes it a whole lot more fun to do. But if you need me before next class, just text me and we'll take care of it. But otherwise, I will see you on Monday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.